door, sir.
That 10%.
Mr. 10%, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, we now have evidence of actual cash payments that went to family members like Hunter and his brother, and then were paid to Joe Biden. You have canceled checks. You have the whole 9 yards. One was for $200,000. I think one was for $20,000 or $40,000. So remember, in the beginning, it was Russian disinformation, and then it was, oh, well, you don't have any evidence of direct payments to Joe Biden. Well, you now have that. They laundered the money through all of these different shell companies that had no business purpose, no legitimate business need, and then they sent that money to Hunter Biden and to Joe Biden's brother, who then cut the checks to Joe. And I think as we get more subpoenaed evidence, I think you're going to see more of this.
You know, it's crazy. Look at the evidence you have. Now, the left is going to say you don't have anything really on Joe, but you have enough to at least ramp up an investigation by the DOJ. Meanwhile, Trump over there is getting pulled into court in every jurisdiction possible for things that don't even don't come close to what evidence they have allegedly on Joe Biden.
Yep, we completely have a weaponized justice system right now that is, I mean, think about this for a second. You have Joe Biden, whose number one contender for the White House in November is Donald Trump, and you have Joe Biden's DOJ investigating Donald Trump, indicting Donald Trump, and all sorts of places across the country with not anywhere near evidence at the level that they have that Joe Biden has committed crimes, that Hunter Biden has committed crimes. And it's completely the weaponization of the federal government using the Department of Justice for political means.
All right, let's take a listen to Dan Goldman, the illustrious Dan Goldman yesterday, really making a fool of himself again.
You would have to authenticate it to know it was the same content. You have no idea. You know hard drives can be manipulated.
Are you suggesting the New York Post could participate in a conspiracy to construct the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop?
No, sir. The problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
But what's the evidence that happened?
Well, there is actual evidence of it, but the point is there's not
no evidence for it, so you're engaging in a conspiracy.
I'm glad you agree with me, Mr. Schellenberger.
No, look at how hard it is when he says, what's the actual evidence? And Goldman goes, oh, we're all about transparency. He had no evidence. He made a really, really stunning accusation about Rudy and the New York Post.
Yeah, completely different situations that we have in our federal government right now because of the weaponization of the federal government through the DOJ, a completely different lens that is applied to conservatives and to Trump that's applied to Joe Biden. And the Democrats just keep talking the talking points that this is a conspiracy theory, we don't have any evidence, when in fact that's not the case at all. In the hearing today on censorship, you have a treasure trove of evidence that has been filed and proffered in a court case that shows that Joe Biden's administration was censoring Americans, and yet they still say it's just a conspiracy.
Congressman, you're a great congressman, but what are we going to do about it? How do we make it stop? Why can't you censor Dan Goldman for making an abhorrent accusation with no evidence at all?
Yeah, well, as it relates to Joe Biden, I filed an impeachment resolution months ago, a long time ago. So now you're hearing talk, hopefully, that the Republican majority is going to open an impeachment inquiry, which would be the next plausible legal step. And I think we should do that as soon as possible. There's a whole bunch of evidence that crimes have been committed, federal crimes have been committed, and we need to open up that impeachment inquiry. As it relates to the censorship, you have direct evidence in the Missouri v. Biden case of the Biden administration working with social media companies to completely censor your First Amendment rights as an American. And so we need to pass legislation in Congress that doesn't allow the administration to do that type of activity.
Yeah, you need to do that. You also need to do it after 24 when you got the Senate too. And really, really make Biden try, and now he'll be gone. Hopefully we have a Trump or a Republican president that we can actually get some real change going on. God willing. Congressman Greg Steube, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, folks, coming up, another attack on the First Amendment. A New York appeals court reinstates Donald Trump's